How's it going, everyone? The Trout 91 here. That just feels weird. That just feels weird saying that. I haven't done one of these properly in over 3 years. It was almost 3 years ago to the day was the last time I did like an RTC episode or a video of some kind with a commentary type-esque thing. Granted, I had a bit of a stint streaming last year, but it's been a long time since I did something like this. I was just thinking the other day when I started YouTube. I mean, when I really first started YouTube, I was about 17 in sixth form, also known as like college for some people. And now I'm 30. Yeah, I turned 30 this year during lockdown as well. So I'm a 30-year-old with a full-time job in gaming. If only the 17-year-old me could see me now. I don't think they would quite believe where I've ended up. For those of you who are unaware, I actually left my job at Gfinity of almost 8 years back in June and moved to Turtle Beach. It's truly been an honour to be here because it's a brand I love, and in fact my first headset was a Turtle Beach headset. I think it's the Ear Force X1s. They also own a PC gaming brand named Roccat, which, if you're a fan of League of Legends, you may recognise, as they also had a European team in the European LCS and esports team. And I'm the European Senior Social Media Manager for Roccat and Turtle Beach. You know, working on both brands, predominantly working on the Roccat brand, but also working with localization for Turtle Beach. Yeah, it's a really interesting role, and I'm working with products for the first time, something physical that you can hold and use and buy, whereas Gfinity was about the events and esports tournaments that, you know, weren't necessarily a product, or at least I wasn't involved in the product side of things. I wasn't involved in selling stuff, but more the organization and content creation side of the business. So I guess as a window into what's been going on in my life very quickly, and I feel like I should give you the cliff notes. Hello as well, if I haven't said that. Hello to those of you who've wondered where I've been or what's going on with me. I'm still alive, still doing things. I just haven't really had that urge to do YouTube for a long time. I think that in the past, a lot of my gaming habits were focused and centered around YouTube. And every now and then I would kind of get that urge and that grind and that, you know, spark to start doing videos again. That would eventually tail off. And throughout the years, it's always been an up and down roller coaster. It's been a long time since I actually really wanted to do YouTube. I've been more interested in, you know, just doing life and doing work, and not really had the same interest in YouTube because it is quite a commitment to do these kind of things. And, you know, when you give up that kind of time and commitment, you want to make sure it's worthwhile. And if you're not feeling it, there's no point forcing it. I don't need to force that kind of thing anymore, which is kind of why I haven't done so much of it. But also I haven't really been that interested in a lot of the games that have come out in the past, or like I've shown some interest in it but not enough to really like kick into gear and play on a regular basis and keep going for it. But the past year has kind of changed that in some ways. So I guess what I can do is kind of rewind and go to when we last kind of kicked off. You know, obviously it's been a while since I did these commentaries, but I've still kind of kept active in some form or fashion and did the streaming, as I said. So I'm going to kind of move backwards to lockdown or pre-lockdown to, you know, when me and my now wife, Susie, yes, I did get married this year. We were living in our first house with our dog. Some of you may remember that we got a cockapoo named Percy. He's 3 years old now and he's doing really well. He's past that puppy stage, so while he is a terror at times and can really annoy us, he's a lot more relaxed and chilled now. He doesn't get into trouble as much or have the same energy as he once did, where he just needs to go psycho for no reason. And obviously lockdown hit us because of COVID. It's a terrible thing for so many people out there. It's been a real hindrance on lives, on, you know, financial constraints for people. It's been a real mental challenge for a lot of people. I would say for myself, it's not necessarily been the biggest of issues. I would say actually in a lot of ways, career-wise, it's benefited me. Financially, I would say it's benefited me. Mentally, I would say it was a bit of a challenge for me and Susie, obviously being locked in a small house with each other. Proved to be a bit testing at times, because it was just you two. You couldn't go out, even at Christmas time. You know, it's just you two. Like, time when you want to be with your family, it can be really, really tough. Susie was kind of got through it because she could go outside, and as a teacher they would always change the rules whether she needed to be at home or whether she could be at school teaching, depending on the rules. I've kind of been stuck indoors for 2 years. Obviously I can go outside, but it's been remote work pretty much since lockdown started initially. And at the time I was still working with Gfinity, and I was predominantly working on website content. I managed to turn that site into a platform that had less than 20k views into a 20 million view platform in about 9 months, thanks to good strategies and a bit of luck with the explosion of Warzone. So with Warzone kicking about, I started playing a bit more in terms of games than I had done previously. Joined in with Sam and Bobby and some of the other boys from Sam's Discord, because Sam was streaming quite frequently back then. And I guess we started to get the hump with Warzone after a while, and COD wasn't quite the same, and my stream quality wasn't fantastic. I needed to upgrade it to really continue doing it, and it was a massive commitment to do it solo, especially when all the others had kind of given up on playing Warzone. And I don't think Warzone is the kind of game you can play by yourself, or at least I don't enjoy playing it by myself. But I did end up doing a fair bit of streaming for Gfinity. I got really into Fortnite at one point. I know some people are like, oh, not Fortnite, but you know, I quite enjoyed it. It was good fun. From a work perspective, it was a large part of my day-to-day activity, so it was good to be included on that, and I quite enjoyed it for a while. I haven't played so much of it recently because I've not been enjoying the seasons that came out past that, but that's another topic for another day. Then obviously the new year came and we were still in lockdown for a while. We were saving a lot of money. I think actually the topic came up towards the end of last year, where we thought about buying a house. And I was quite against it at first because, you know, houses are expensive. There's nothing wrong with our house as it was. But Susie brought up the fact that the stamp duty holiday was coming in. So that's going to save us a lot of money, which is why I was like, yeah, I'm fully on board with it now, because we want to upgrade to a bigger house at some point. You know, when we eventually do have kids, we'll want more space and more room, and probably a safer house. And this is probably the best time to do it. As I said, you know, financially wise, we were doing a lot better because we weren't spending money traveling all over the place, paying for dog walkers and lots of other various things. We weren't going out very much, so we could obviously afford to buy a new house. Still in Hertfordshire, but it's a much bigger and better area. Massive garden for the dog. I no longer have a box room for an office. It's a nice big room with lots of space. There's a sofa and a TV in it, which I can sit and lounge and watch football in. Got that sexy little Virgin Media package, which got like 600 down, and like I can stream football up here while Susie watches what she wants downstairs. It's glorious. Got my little man cave going on here. And then about 2 days after moving into the house, I turned 30 during lockdown, which, you know, wasn't ideal, but Susie made sure I had a good time regardless, so I can't thank her enough for that. She's actually turning 30 next year, so we're going to do like a joint party type thing and actually, you know, celebrate how we wanted to and intended to. And then life slowly started getting back to normal. We could start going out a bit more. And I was kind of looking at jobs, not really super interested in what was out there. And then I kind of wanted a new challenge, but I was just looking about, seeing what was about. And then this opportunity at Turtle Beach opened up, and fortunately I got the gig. And it's been a fun day every day since I joined about 5 months ago, and I couldn't be happier from a work perspective. And me and my wife, we were actually meant to get married in July, but I made the mistake, well, depending on how you look at it, of going to the Euro finals, where I watched Italy beat us, the heartache that came with it, and then to make matters worse, I actually got COVID, despite none of my friends and family getting it, so I have no idea how that works. What a weird illness this is. But I tested positive on the week of the wedding, which meant we were forced to postpone. As you can imagine, we were devastated, lots of tears, and I've not really lived it down. Susie likes to remind me all the time about it. Thankfully, our venue could rearrange to a Saturday in August, or just about a month later, which is absolutely unheard of considering how busy it is with so many postponements. And luckily, Susie agreed to marry me still, so we got it all booked in, went ahead. We're now Mr. and Mrs. Trout, although I don't think she's keen on changing her name to the Big Fishmeister quite yet. And since then, you know, we've done a bit of travelling. We actually went to Edinburgh in between the cancelled wedding and the actual wedding. I've never been to Scotland before, so it was really nice to go there. Really lovely place, Edinburgh. We went to Dubrovnik in Croatia for a mini moon as well, which is absolutely beautiful, and I highly recommend going there. I couldn't believe that a place in Europe was as beautiful as it is. I always think of Europe being like, oh, dingy, like cities, they all look the same. There's not really that much going on, but yeah, beautiful Dubrovnik. I would 100% recommend going there. And we also went to Bruges in Belgium with our close friends for a good weekend over Halloween. And I've also been to Hamburg a few times to work because the Rockat offices, their main office is located in Hamburg. So I had the privilege of meeting a lot of my team. Unfortunately, I didn't actually get to see a lot of my colleagues from Gfinity when I left because we were obviously still remote working. But I've seen a number of them on a night out or at my wedding as well since then. So not all lost. And now I've just been playing a lot of games, which is kind of what has inspired this video. There's been a ton of good games releasing recently after about a year or two of absolutely nothing, in my opinion. Deathloop was incredible and kind of started my gaming love again. Can't recommend that game enough. League of Legends bug has once again hit me. I jump into it now and then. I don't like play it every day all the time because one, it's a very time consuming game, and you know, two, just playing by yourself is not quite the same as playing with people. And I also jump into the mobile version when I'm not doing anything or sat on the sofa and want to play a little bit of League or whatever. Really enjoyed FIFA 22 to start with. I was actually pretty good at it, I think. But every time they patch it, it becomes less and less recognisable, the gameplay as to what it was. And the first weekend league I played was probably enough for me for the rest of the year, so I haven't really played it in recent weeks. But Vanguard has surprisingly caught hold of me, as well as Halo Infinite. Really impressed with that game as well in particular. I mean, Halo's a game that I started my whole journey on, I like to think. When my brother got an Xbox 360 and he finally got Xbox Live with Halo 3, I just could not stop playing it. It's why I bought my own Xbox 360 and, you know, started making videos almost because of that whole love for Halo 3. And since then, Halos haven't quite hit the mark, especially when so many other FPS games and so many other games I think were more interesting and better at the time. But I think Halo Infinite's kind of hit that good spot where, you know, it's a futuristic shooter, it's taken elements from other successful FPS games, it's good old-fashioned Halo. They've not tried to do too much over the top with it, put in some interesting mechanics. They've got good map design, good gunplay, just overall very impressed with it, and the fact that it's free is even better. Not so keen on Battlefield 2042. I think it's a bit messy and not what I was expecting and maybe promised to be. I think it was a bit rushed in again in the end. I think they were holding on to the fact that lots of other games were going to suffer and maybe they could delay it again or get away with it. But to me, it's a bit messier. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, the Portal mode is cool, but the main mode I'm not a big fan of. I've also played a bit of New World, but it didn't quite grip me in the same way. And although I meant to get back into it at some point, I just never did. And then other games came along. Also upgraded my PC recently. My last one was not only not good enough to play games, but was struggling with day-to-day tasks for work. I actually bought it from Audi of all places. Can you believe that? Audi just do everything. I couldn't believe it. Like, the thing's got a 3060 RTX in it. So I'm really impressed with that. And the price I got it for was really good. I'm really happy with the PC. It is so dead quiet. You might not even be able to hear it in the background right now. My old PC, you could hear it in the background. It sounded like a jet engine going off at times. And it was a good experience working with PCs and trying to figure out how to upgrade it. Shout out to Spoons on Twitter, who's been really, really helpful with sorting me out. Obviously, in most cases, you should probably buy the parts separately to upgrade your PC. But with the work it was going to involve and the amount of upgrading I needed to do, it was probably just more effective, cost-effective and time effective to just buy a brand new PC. I also sold parts from my old PC, and I still had my old PC from about 10 years ago in the loft, and just dismantled it all, sold all the parts on eBay. It was a good experience, you know, like dismantling that kind of stuff and learning a bit more about PCs. Still not really that clued up on how it all works and stuff, but I've got a more of a basic understanding about PCs now, which is really handy in terms of work, but also just general life itself. But I also discovered how much rubbish people will buy off you on eBay. Like the amount of rubbish I had in the loft that I was storing for a rainy day. I had monitors up there, I had old electronics, old, you know, books, and like just general stuff that I never thought I would ever sell for money, but people were buying them. So that obviously went to offsetting the cost for the new PC. It also kind of started off maybe like in May time, when we were like, I think we need more money for this wedding. So I sold loads of my stuff to pay for the wedding. It also fuels my Pokemon card addiction. Yeah, that's hit me hard too. I always justify it as an investment. Like in X number of years, these cards will be worth a lot more, because we've seen how explosive and valuable Pokemon cards have been in the past year, especially with the whole base set stuff. So I've been collecting the Sword and Shield stuff. It kind of started out as I'll give it a go, because I know some people doing it, and I actually packed for anyone who actually cares, I actually packed the Rainbow Rare VMAX Pikachu from Vivid Voltage, and that kind of spiraled into like, I'm going to keep going. My pack luck's not been as good recently, but it's still good fun. Probably spend too much money on it. Wait, don't tell Susie that. It's the #1 rule of Pokemon card collecting. Don't tell your spouse how much you spend on Pokemon cards. So yeah, that's a summary of what's going on with me. I'm still working remotely for the most part, playing games. Got the urge to do this video and check in. Lots of people were really supportive on Twitter. Shout out to those on Twitter. If you don't follow me there for some reason, do feel free to. I don't tweet massive amounts, but this is weird because I work in social media, but don't actually use my own Twitter account to tweet, or my Instagram account to post that often. But you know, it's about quality, innit? Little and often, not little and often, less frequently, good quality, that kind of yada yada yada. Maybe I'll make this a regular thing. There's a lot more about my life and stuff that I could talk about. I just haven't thrown it all in here because this is reaching about 20 minutes now, and there's a lot more to come and talk about without overwhelming you. But that was just a brief history on what I've been doing recently, and maybe I'll talk about that stuff in some more videos. Maybe an RTC is on the cards, maybe some Halo, maybe some Warzone. The new map's coming out in a few weeks. Lots of possibilities. Happy to jump into some games, especially since it's cross-play. I actually own Vanguard on all 3 systems: Xbox Series X, PS5, PC. Don't ask why, I just do. So I'm happy to jump on any of them. And yeah, I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing well. Let me know what's going on with you in the comments. Happy to have a chat. And maybe I'll see you for the next one. Give me some ideas or some feedback on if you want to see any videos. If not, I'll see you next time when we do this. Peace.